Hello everyone, my name is Brandon, aka the Brando Critic, and today we will be talking about Braveheart. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell you right now, this is an instant 5 out of 5 motion picture, and I saw it when I was about 11 or 12. My dad showed it to me because I was into Lord of the Rings at the time. I was just starting to discover that. And he said, "Have you seen Braveheart?" I said, "No, I haven't. I don't even know what that is." And after watching it, I think I was much too young to experience something that violent, but I decided to watch it again for the first time in over 10 years. And I remember every single thing that I've seen. Most films when I watch as a kid, I forgot about this, oh, I forgot about this, I forgot about this. I remembered everything about this movie, and I hadn't seen it in 10 years. Now that really says something. So I should mention that if you look up Braveheart on YouTube, you're mostly gonna get just a bunch of history buffs or a bunch of history channels telling you that this story of William Wallace did not actually happen and that it is entirely inaccurate to what actually happened. Now that might be true. I watched a lot of those videos and yeah, this film isn't even worth stating that it's a true story. However, this film does something that I think all motion pictures should do. Now I want to ask you guys a question and really think about this. Why do you guys watch movies? Why would you spend money that you've earned to go to this giant building and sit in a seat next to some total stranger and watch a bunch of colorful images be portrayed onto a screen? It sounds kind of dumb when you think about it, right? I would drive 15 minutes out of my way just to sit in a building in front of a screen for 2.5 hours and then go home. But there's one thing that all movies, and I believe all good movies, have in common, and that is have an emotional impact. You go to a comedy because you want to laugh. You go to an action movie because you want to be entertained and you want to be excited. You go to a horror movie because you want to feel a jolt of just fear. You go to a science fiction or a fantasy movie to escape this world and explore brand new ones. Or you even go into a movie to learn something. Maybe it's about a certain person you would like to know more about. Obviously, William Wallace being an example here. But you see my point, right? All good movies leave you with an emotional impact. My screenwriting teacher in second year of film school told me, a filmmaker is the only profession where your audience will pay you to emotionally manipulate them. And I thought about it, and that's entirely true. There's a reason why Titanic and Avatar are the highest grossing movies ever made. It's because although the stories might not be the most exciting, they might be kind of bland, and you might have seen them all before, they run on human emotions, the basic human emotions that we all understand and that we all can relate to. And I think that is why I love this movie so much, is that it runs on basic human emotion and it is so powerful. This movie has everything that a good movie should have. You have a character whose motivation is clear and is likable, and I know he's played by Mel Gibson, but you have to consider that this man made this movie before all the whole drunk driving, all the whole bad Hollywood stuff. You have a love story that, in my opinion, okay, I'll say this right off the bat, this is probably heightened because of James Horner's beautiful score, but I think this is one of the most romantic relationships in movie history. Now I know people their minds are blowing just from hearing me say that, but again, it's just so basic, it's so bare bones that it works. Also, quick side note, whenever I see movies that have all the characters predominantly with a different accent, I start to talk like that accent, and then my dad hears it, and then he talks with that accent, and so we'll be doing something like, "Oh boy, you gotta drop it like it's hot in there." That's my abysmal Scottish accent. I'm sorry for all you Scottish people out there. But eventually, our character needs to go on a quest, and much like how Luke Skywalker wanted to fight the Emperor and fight the Empire, I won't give it away, but something happens to William Wallace that we are so invested in him already that we just keep shouting, just go for it. Just go to war, fight the English, take back what's yours, and get revenge. From there, we have a bunch of silly side characters that are funny, and we have a villain who I absolutely hate this villain. Not I hate him in the purpose of the movie, I hate his character, which means it's a great villain. If you actually find yourself rooting against the villain and you just can't stand seeing them on screen because they're just so evil, then they're a great villain. King Longshanks is a great villain. And on top of that, this film has one of the most beautiful film scores ever. It is so euphoric, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. And on top of that, the violence. Oh my god, the violence. This and Hacksaw Ridge might be the two most violent mainstream movies I've ever seen. Funny enough that they're both directed by Mel Gibson. But it's not just violent for the sake of being violent. This movie is 3 hours long, but it uses about an hour and a half of build-up of the characters, the setting, the story, and why William Wallace is doing what he's doing, and it makes the violence just seem way more impactful, saying this is what's at stake, and yes, he is going to go this length to get what he needs and get what he wants. And from then on, I dare not tell you what happens. I'm sure this film has been spoiled to death based on internet memes and internet top 10 lists and maybe like best ending ever, best charges in film, but I think that's all I should really say about it, because I really hope that everyone watching this review goes out to see Braveheart. Unless you cannot stand like really gory violence and really intense fight sequences, Braveheart might be one of my favorite movies of all time. Maybe even top 5. I'm gonna have to go through my top 10 films and go through lists and write them all down. I think that's another video for another day, but 5 out of 5, hands down, one of the best films I've ever seen, Braveheart. It is truly an epic masterpiece. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to read the written review of this, it'll be in the description below, and all my other written reviews can be found at brandocritic.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at brandocritic. Be sure to send me a message what kind of videos you'd like to see next, or what you thought of Braveheart, or what you thought of any other movie. I love talking with you guys, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.